Hey guys, hope y'all are doing great. Today we're going to be installing some lower rear shock mount relocations from Metalcloak. And these will move the shocks outboard in the rear, and they're also going to increase the clearance 1.5 to 2 inches, I believe, which will be quite an upgrade over the stock setup. Because of how low these hang, I've already been hitting these shock relocations. So I'm looking forward to getting these trimmed up and have a smooth, higher clearance area, which will be essentially like from switching from the 37s I have to some 40s, at least from the shock clearance perspective. So the tools we're gonna need, I printed these out off their website since Metalcloak doesn't give you instructions with their kits most often. We're looking for an 18mm socket, a wrench, and an open end 18mm or 9/16, and also we're gonna have to drill 1 hole per side. So let's go over and get our tools. We got a socket, kind of open end, and a ratchet. So we got 19, got a 9/16, so we'll just grab an adjustable for good measure. Just gonna be holding the back of a few bolts, get a 1/2-inch driver, and 18mm, and we'll get a long 9/16 just for the heck of it. And I'm a glove guy, so gotta get a pair of gloves here. And let's get started. It says first we're gonna break the lower shock mount bolts loose, and we're going to remove the sway bar end link, which is attached. I'm gonna go get a light. Hang on a second. There we are. So yes, we're gonna be taking off the lower shock bolt and my shock extension, and also taking off the sway bar end link, which attaches also to that shock bracket, lower control arm bracket conglomeration down there. So let's get started. So there you have it. Got all this broken down. Now for the drilling. I've kept the shock, the shock's still attached, that is, up at the top, but to get it out of the way for this drilling operation, I went ahead and took the shock bolt, just stuck it in the end of the mount to hold it to the right so I can get a straight shot to drill out this hole right here. We're going to drill this hole out to 9/16 because the bracket is going to mount right in here. And it's going to attach to the sway bar end link bolt, which the sway bar end link will attach to as well. That'll be side support, and then we'll drill out this upper hole for the main support with the new bolt through this mount. And then we get to cut off all this junk hanging down below, which is going to be really exciting. So now that we got this hole drilled out with a 3/8 drill bit, now comes the tricky part. Now thankfully, Metalcloak gave us one of these nuts that has an integrated washer, shoulder, or whatever you'd call it. And the way that I got this up in here, you have to go behind the shock mount and up underneath in front of the control arm there. I placed the nut inside of the end of the wrench. And let's slide over here. And then careful to keep it angled back to prevent the nut from falling out. And bring it up until it arrives at the hole. And then we'll hand start that bolt and then tighten it down. There it is. One side is down. And I believe this gives another inch or two more to compensate for my 2-inch spacer lift, because compared to the other side, I'm lifting the tire off the ground actually on that side, and I had to push the shock up an inch or so to get this into the new mount for the shock relocation. So I'm pretty excited. This is taking away my shock extensions and also giving me a little bit more down travel, which I've been missing, and giving me more clearance. So it's definitely a win-win-win situation. So now just one more side to go, and then we'll be ready for the cutoff wheel action. Mission accomplished. Brackets are installed, everything's tightened down. Very excited. The product fit perfectly. Could not be more pleased. Everything is lined up great. Now the last step is to grind off this lower portion near these control arm brackets here. We have to make this as straight line and round the edges so it's a smooth part for the rocks to slide under and hopefully avoid hitting all together for a while. Got one side ground off. Just to show the difference here between one side, I have not smoothed this up yet. I'm going to smooth and round the corners so I'm going to get some of the additional pieces of the bracket off. But quickly measuring this as opposed to the other side, which you can see over here. Right here, well, first of all, under your diff, this is with stock tires installed, has 10 inches of ground clearance under your diff. Now at the shock, there's 8¼ inches of clearance. That's 1 3/4 less than your actual diff itself, which is pretty bad. That's there to give you a longer shock option, better dampening from the outboard position of the shock, but it really limits your ground clearance. So here, if you measure this after I've trimmed the bottom off as much as you can, this is 10 inches of ground clearance under this bracket now, which matches your differential. So from the shock perspective, that's like putting a 1 inch or 1 3/4 taller tire on your Jeep, almost a 2 inch larger tire. No, it actually would be 3 inch larger tire, over a 3 inch larger tire. So it'd be the same as going from 37s to 40s or bigger at the shock mount, which is pretty amazing as far as clearance is concerned. Got all wrapped up, finished grinding the other side, smoothed everything out pretty well. I'm very excited with how clean the back end looks now. Nothing hanging down, all the corners are smoothed, rounded. Looking forward to going out this weekend and going four-wheeling and seeing how everything shakes out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Very cool modification to the JL. One of my favorite modifications I've done so far. And the installation time for the brackets themselves was about 30 to 45 minutes. The grinding is the big part. Take about an hour to 1.5 hours to take your time and get all the pieces ground where you want them. Hope y'all have a great day. Take care. See ya.